Hey guys, this is Brendon for Teprac Bank Training. Today I'm joined by Stephen. Hi Stephen.
Hey guys.
All right, today we're going to talk about the viability of a 5.56 rifle, namely an AR-15, right, as a home defense gun. If you go to FUD gun stores, they would usually tell you don't use a rifle for home defense, use a shotgun because the rifle's going to overpenetrate. Although that may be true for about 90% of the application for a rifle, there are definitely rounds out there that doesn't overpenetrate. Just like when you're concealed carrying a pistol, you wouldn't use full metal jacket for your carry ammo because with the fear of overpenetration. So you're going to use hollow point rounds. So this one is a 55 grain full metal jacket round. Yep. This is the standard round that we use, right, Stephen? Yep. We shoot this all the time. And then this one is a green tip, and this would be a barrier penetrating round, right? Yeah. This would typically be 62 grains?
62, just about.
Right, and these two are common rounds that you see out there. The problem is that when gun stores tell you, or people tell you, don't use a rifle, these are the rounds that they expect you to use, right? Which is obviously wrong. So 55 grain rounds coming out of a 16-inch barrel, right, Leo limit, is gonna clock in at around 2,800 to 3,000 feet per second, depending on your rounds, your barrel, and all that stuff. But remember, unlike a 9mm, which travels around 1,200 feet per second, the AR-15 is traveling twice as fast, right?
Yeah.
It also has half of the weight on it. So this is a 55 grain round. Typical 9mm hollow points are 115 grain. What that means though is that when it hits flesh, as the energy is transferred into the bullet, you have about 2,800 feet per second of energy being transferred into 55 grains, right? Hence, when a hollow point 223 rounds impacts targets or flesh, it actually disperses the energy more than a 9mm would, because the 9mm is traveling slower, and at the same time it's also technically heavier, right? So 1,200 feet per second being dispersed at 115 grain versus 2,800 feet per second being dispersed on 55 grain. So the first thing you're going to encounter are these hollow point rounds, right? I'm not sure what brand is this.
I think this was 55 grain.
Right, so 55 grain hollow point rounds, a lot of manufacturers use this. This is still actually in general production, right? You can buy this easily, but they have little holes in the top of them. These are great, but they're not the preferred rounds still, right? Although they work, but they're not preferred because you can get deeper into this. Here you go, Stephen.
Thanks, man.
So these are Hornady critical defense round. Right, just so you know, the popular 9mm carry round out there has AR-15 version, right? So this is the 223 Remington. This one, the hollow point is actually short, right? The opening here is super big, but it has a tip, a plastic tip at the end, right? That to allow it to still form like a regular bullet, but when it impacts the human body, it opens up, right? Because that's important, because drag and all that stuff. And then lastly, Stephen's favorite round right here. Right?
Yeah.
What is this called, Stephen?
The Civil Liberty Defense Overwatch.
Right.
Traveling about 3,000 feet per second in 55 grain.
Right. So think about that way, right? So you got a big hollow point hole right here, right? On a 55 grain round traveling 3,000 feet per second. So when this hits the human body, it will expand. And once it expands, it has about 3,000 feet per second of energy that has to expand. So it disintegrates the round. So there's actually a lot of ballistic tests out there, which I hope we could. One day we will.
Oh, we will.
Right? There's a lot of ballistic tests out there that when a hollow point 223 round impacts flesh or human targets, it actually disperses its energy so much that it either tumbles, explodes, or disintegrates, and there's a lot less penetration on the other side of the body versus 9mm. If you guys haven't noticed yet, a lot of law enforcement agencies are transitioning from using 9mm or 10mm MP5s to what? Standard AR-15s, right? Because they know that the rounds are more effective that way. That's how hollow points work, right? The faster a round is traveling, the more energy it's gonna impact on target, right? And especially since it's a hollow point, the moment it hits, it opens up.
Oh yeah.
So, anything else, Stephen?
Brand makes a big difference, right? The powder they use, the actual hollow points themselves do differ from company to company. Civil Liberty does say that there's expand faster at the entrance rather than continually penetrating.
Right. And versus critical defense 2 to 3 rounds, which is designed to still penetrate, right? Because
a certain depth. They're supposed to penetrate a certain depth, while this one actually says its minimal was like 12 to 14 inches.
Is the AR-15 a viable home defense weapon? Absolutely, right, Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Think about it, right? You have a weapon system that is easier to learn how to use, and you are more accurate with it because it's easier to use. Okay, so you have less chance of missing the target, right? You have more rounds on target because it's easier to handle, and you got a round that's more effective. In our opinion, the AR-15 is a viable home defense weapon, especially paired with a good home defense round. So me and Steven are going to go into order of how hard are these to find, especially now in this market, right?
Yeah.
And how expensive are they? So we're going to give estimates as of today, how much they are. All right? So, Steven, let's start with this one, please. And
Full metal jacket. Standard. We see them everywhere. It's about, what, 50 cents
around.
to 65 cents a round.
Right. And then you start going into that. There's still a little bit more expensive, right? 55 grain hollow points.
Yep. 55 grain.
I think they're about 80 cents, right?
Yeah,
80 cents
much
around.
closer to $1.
Absolutely. But then you're still able to find them, though. There's I see Fiocchi boxes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or easier box. They're not that specialized ammunition. Then we'll talk about green tips, right?
Ooh, green tips are...
They're actually easier to find.
They are surprisingly easy to find.
Right, because nobody wants them because they can't shoot them at indoor ranges, right? They're a greatly misunderstood round. But they are a little pricey, about 60, right, to 70 cents, but they're easy to find. So let's talk about specialized rounds. So let's talk about yours and then let's talk about mine.
Ooh, so the Civil Liberty Overwatch. Let's see. I think the only place I found this was online in another state that I had to order, and because we're in California, I had to ship it to an FFL.
Yep, absolutely.
And price-wise, yes, granted, this is definitely $1.50 a round.
Right, but before you say anything, that's exactly how much hollow point 9mm rounds would be.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And this one's the exact same way. Just watch out, though. Hornady releases varmint rounds, too. And that is okay to use, according to certain research, right? But the preferred one is going to be the critical defense round. There's also a critical duty, I believe. But these are about $1.20. They're not hard to find. You're able to find this at your local gun stores, but they are significantly expensive, and they come in these boxes, right? 20-round boxes that are, that are tucked away in a different place, especially if you go to like big box stores. So just watch out with that. Just know that a lot of these specialized rounds, you're likely going to have more success finding them online, but it's also not impossible to get ammo delivered to your house or to your local FFL, but that's a video at a different time.
So with all these rounds, if you hit your intended target, what are they going to do? The hollow points are going to expand and flower, right? And cause the damage it's supposed to.
And not over-penetrate.
Exactly.
Right.
However, if you miss and hit, say, drywall, it's going to act very similar. They're all going to act very similar. They're going to hit and go through multiple drywall.
Right. It's been proven that hollow points doesn't expand when it hits drywall, right? It's meant to expand in flesh or in water.
Like object.
It's like object. So the thing about that is don't believe until you see it, right? So in the future, Tabak Bang is going to make a video of us shooting all of these against drywall. With science.
No, you're good.
All right, it's fine. We should do prom photo first.
No.
Make sure you like our videos and subscribe to our channel. We put a lot of content out there. We drop a video every Tuesday for your viewing pleasure. And we vary up the content so that way we stay relevant for you.